Hello and welcome to my video tutorial 6.2, Solving by Balancing. This is meant for my grade 9 math class. So there are a few different example questions that I will do for you, but they're all basically the same idea. Okay? So basically this idea is that we're balancing the equation. So it's the same thing as when we were doing inverse operators in 6.1, but in this case, we can sort of imagine it pictorially a little bit easier. So let's say we have this situation, okay? So it's represented by this, so I'm just going to read it out. So there's 6, so 6x, so there's 6 x's, and there are 2 of whatever else, so 2. There are 10 of whatever else, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right there, and there are 4 x's again. Okay, so this algebra and picture are the same thing. The triangle here is sort of the equal sign. Okay? So with this information, and you can imagine it's balanced, right? It's like a teeter-totter. It's balanced, so we need to basically figure out how much an x box here, weighs. Okay, so I'm going to take off 2 green ones there, take off 2 green ones here. Okay, then I'm going to take off 4 blue ones and 4 blue ones. Okay, as long as I do it to both sides, it's okay. Do whatever I want as long as I do it to both sides. So now we're left with a little bit more complicated. I mean, it's going to show us right here. A little bit more complicated. So I took off 4, which if you see it on the algebra side, it looks like this. Okay. And then we took off 2. If you see on the algebra side, it looks like this. And then it's really hard to see this on the picture. It's harder to see it on the picture, but you can see that there's 2 of these and there's a bunch of these. If we split them up into 2 separate groups, into 2 separate like teeter-totters, then it should work. So if you group this as equal to this one, and maybe purple this one and this one being equal, now it's kind of like how we switched to this. So now we have x equals 4. So hopefully that sort of gives a brief explanation of how this, generally speaking, sort of works. And I showed in class, or I will show in class, a more physical example as well with popsicle sticks, but for now, hopefully that is clear enough. And if you're wondering, this is actually directly from the textbook. So I didn't write that, but it's really well done. So I thought I'd show you guys. Okay, here are 2 more examples that I'm going to do for you. So 4 apples, 3 ounces equals 3 apples plus 6 ounces. Okay, so I want to figure out how many ounces an apple is. Well, what you got to do is you just need to subtract so that we have the same amount on every side. So take off 3 apples, and we're going to have to do that over here as well. Take off 3 apples. Okay, so that's just like when we took off our x's. Okay, we took off a group of them. If we take off 3 apples, it's the same thing. Okay, so took off 3 apples, so what we are left with is 1 apple plus 3 ounces equals 6 ounces. Now we still want to know how much 1 apple is, so we want to take off some ounces here. And also take them off on the other side. So if we do it to one side, to keep our teeter-totter balanced, we have to do it to the other side. And now we can see it's 1 apple equals 3 ounces. I don't know if this is actually right, but this is what this answer gives us. Okay? So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Again, this is the same sort of step as this here is the same sort of step as when we take off these two here. So hopefully it's pretty clear. Okay, and this one here is sort of the last and possibly hardest example that you would see for this type of question. So given the following two equations, solve for x. So it might get you to get these two equations or whatever else, but once you have two equations, solving for x. This is like my solving a system of equations video as well, so you can take a look at that if you're interested. But all you do is you remember y is the same thing as y, right? So if y equals y, instead of y, I can write this on the left side. So I'm going to write that. Right? This is instead of y. Okay? And on the right side, whoops, I wanted to use different colors. On the right side, we're going to put that. Okay, so y equals x plus 6, which is true. So it's true, it's true up until here. Y equals x plus 6. And it's true up until here. Y equals 3x plus 2. But both of them are equal to y. So we can actually make them both equal. So I'm going to draw like a little equals all the way through here. Okay? So now that we've done that, it's going to be a little bit more obvious. So 3x plus 2 equals x plus 6. And now it's the same as any of the other questions. So minus x minus x. We are left with 2x plus 2 equals 6. Then we want a minus 2 minus 2. Then we're left with 2x plus equals 4. And then we have to divide by 2, and we are left with x equals 2. So that is two equations and adding them together in order to solve for x. So I hope that this video helps you solve by balancing equations.